Ever since Abraham led the rebellion against the predominant civilization in Ur in 1800 BCE, polytheistic societies have been at the receiving end of the genocidal tendencies of Abrahamism. The sum and substance of Abrahamic religions is the distinction between their true God and the falsehood of other gods. One by one, the descendants of the world's great civilizations, such as the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Greeks, the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, and the Romans, all fell victim to Abrahamic religious imperialism. Almost every major church and mosque on the planet today stands on what was once the sacred space of a polytheistic tribe. We Hindus are still here, worshipping our land, nature's forces and bounty, and our forefathers. Many people are baffled as to how Hindu religion has endured foreign invasions for over 1,000 years. For us Hindus, the arrival of Islam in the sacred land of Bharatvarsh was marked by destruction of temples and the disrespect of deities. Multan, Kashmir, Delhi, Mathura, Braj, Vrindavan, Kashi, Ayodhya, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Vijayanagar, Tirupati, Guruvayur and Madurai. No part of India was left untouched by Islamic iconoclasm. However, some historians have shown a remarkable passion to whitewash this rather plain and obvious fact of history. Islamic iconoclasm, we are told, had nothing to do with Islam, and the only motive was economic. We are also told that it was not just Islamic invaders who destroyed temples. Hindu kings also did the same, and ordinary people did not really bother about such things, as temples were built just to legitimize royal power by reminding the subjects of the king's divine connection. As my book, Flight of Deities and the Rebirth of Temples, Episodes from Indian History, shows, nothing could be further from the truth. The history of the common men and women of India in the medieval era is, to a large extent, the history of their struggle to protect their sacred spaces from getting desecrated and destroyed. It is a long and painful and heroic struggle to save our temples from destruction and to rebuild destroyed temples whenever possible. Like iconoclasm itself, the defense against it has a scriptural basis. Dharmic texts give clear instructions on how to protect murtis in times of danger. For example, Raj Shekhar Suri wrote Prabandha Kosha and Rishi Marich wrote Viman Archana Kalp. Following the instructions of such texts, common folks, kings and priests alike from every dharmic sampradaya and panth fought against all odds to save their gods from unrelenting violent iconoclasm. To take some prominent examples, when the Pandharpur Vitthal temple was confronted with a Muslim threat, the Emperor of Vijayanagar, Krishnadeva Raya, took away the murti for its security and it was returned in safer times. The Rashtrakuta, Kadamba and Silahara dynasties considered Mahalakshmi of Kolhapur as their family goddess. Under the threat of desecration from Muslim rulers, the deity was constantly shifted from one place to another, and it would not be until Dussehra of 1715 that the murti was reinstated at the command of the Maratha Emperor Shambhaji Maharaj. Sharika Devi was regarded as the patron deity of Srinagar city. In 1170, Sharika Devi's black stone murti was taken from her abode in Hari Parbat in Kashmir Valley to Sarthal, Kishtwar by King Ugradev. She was later brought to Pushkar in Badgam, where the temple for her is now situated. In 1692, the Mughal tyrant Aurangzeb wanted to destroy the Jagannath Puri temple. King Divya Simha Dev of Khurda convinced the Subedar in Cuttack to mislead Aurangzeb by sending a replica murti of Jagannath to Aurangzeb and pulling down some minor structures around the temple. Later, Aurangzeb found out and deposed the Subedar. The temple remained closed to the general public. The priests had to enter through a secret entrance to continue the daily rituals. Only after Aurangzeb's death, the temple doors were reopened. At times, Hindu kings had to negotiate for the safety of our deities. When the Mughal Emperor Akbar needed the military aid of his new ally Rai Singh succeeded in obtaining from Akbar the 1050 Jain idols looted from Sirohi in 1576. He dedicated them to Chintamani temple in Bikaner. Similar stories can be told of Christian iconoclasm as well. In much the same spirit of iconoclasm that the Muslim invaders had displayed over the centuries, the Portuguese felt an obligation to outdo them in both barbarity and intolerance. In 1560, the Portuguese destroyed the temple of Saptanath and constructed a chapel at the site with material from the demolished temple. A devotee took the ling to Bicholin, where it was consecrated. Later, Chhatrapati Shivaji built a new temple for the ling. In another instance, wood from the Lakshmi temple in Sankol village was utilized for building the church of Saint Laurenco. These are only a few examples from a comprehensive list included in my book, Flight of Deities. My book specifically documents the extensive records of iconoclasm kept by proud Muslim invaders. The motivation behind their acts is without doubt theologically inspired. Now let us take up the issue of so-called Hindu iconoclasm. The appropriation of murtis by Hindu kings in times of conflict is vastly different from Islamic iconoclasm. The Purv Karana Agma ordains that whenever a king planned to invade the territory of a rival, he had to arrange for the deities that are brought back from the defeated kingdom and also had to ensure that the women, children, aged and sick were relocated to safe places and sheltered from the ravages of war. For instance, Krishna Deva Raya acquired a murti of Bal Krishna from a temple in Orissa after his victory over the Gajapati ruler Prataprutra. He built a temple for the Bal Krishna murti in Hampi in 1515. The Chola Emperor Rajendra Chola brought back a Pala Ganesh murti from Bengal. Ours is the only surviving polytheistic civilization in the world that fought the Abrahamic religious onslaught and has lived to tell the tale. We survived due to the unwavering faith and devotion of our ancestors to the gods. This is as much an incontrovertible fact of history as it is a source of immense civilizational pride. This is Meenakshi Jain for Upword.